Before Jurassic World Evolution 2 even came out, I did a video titled 10 ways in which Jurassic World Evolution 2 is already better than Jurassic World Evolution 1. And most of that list I still fully stand by, and there are even more ways in which the sequel is better than the original. But, after playing a couple of months, I've also identified 10 ways in which JWE2 is worse than the original, including 1.5 points from my previous video. I will explain. Hello everyone and welcome to this video, which might as well be titled 10 Improvements Jurassic World Evolution 2 Needs. Because let's put a positive spin on this. These problems aren't unfixable and they're not deal breakers, but until that sweet day comes when they are hopefully fixed, they are problems. For me personally, at least. Comment your own improvements for the game down below, give a like if you agree with my points, and of course, for more Jurassic World Evolution 2 content like tips on how to build cool parks in spite of these issues, subscribe to the channel. Number 1. The build delay on fences and the monorail tracks suits the gameplay purpose in campaign, challenge mode, and chaos theory. It prevents us from just double or triple fencing the raptor enclosure when a storm hits, so I understand where this mechanic comes from. However, was the emergency fence building really such a game breaker that it's worth the headache that it causes in Sandbox? Or let me ask a different question. Was it really impossible to find a way to switch this off in Sandbox so you could have the best of both worlds? As a Sandbox player, it's a bit of a drag. I like that in the first game, fences and monorail tracks are just instant. Number 2. The scientist requirement actually made it onto the list of 10 ways in which Jurassic World Evolution 2 is better than Jurassic World Evolution 1. I liked that this was way more involved management than we got in the first game. I liked it, I genuinely did. Now that I've played the game, however, it is a little more nuanced. I like it in every game mode, except, you guessed it, Sandbox. In challenge mode, campaign, and chaos theory, it's something to do, and it's not something hideously frustrating to do like something else later on in today's list. But in Sandbox, it just bogs down the creative process. First off, to make a dinosaur you need 3 buildings instead of 1, and for a group of gamers clamoring for a Site B mode since 2018 where we'd need no buildings, this is quite the step backwards. Then before you even start your build, you have to hire your scientists and train them up to their max level so they can produce the top tier dinosaurs that you obviously are going to want for your park. And sometimes you get a bad batch of scientists with skill points that don't exceed like 6. Finally, every dinosaur creation as a result is a 2-step process that draws your attention away from what you want to do in Sandbox. Build. The scientist requirement has made the dinosaur creation process in Jurassic World Evolution 2 in Sandbox worse than it is in Jurassic World Evolution 1. And since I'm mostly a Sandbox player, this is making today's list. Number 3. The division of tasks between the helicopter crew, the ranger teams, and the MVU. One of the really nice updates in Jurassic World Evolution 1 was that helicopters were also able to medicate dinosaurs, so both air and ground teams could tranquilize and medicate. The fact that in the sequel, rangers can only repair and scan, helicopters can only tranquilize, and MVUs can only medicate has a gameplay purpose, which I get, but the fact that it has a purpose doesn't necessarily make it enjoyable. I'm gonna talk more about the MVU later in this video, but honestly, I'm kinda thinking they should have just scrapped the MVU. Give rangers and helicopters the ability to both trank and medicate, just like in the first game, and maybe instead make a separate team for repairs, like a repair crew. Number 4, the campaign. The campaign is worse than the first game's campaign, because it's incomplete. Simple as that. It's no contest. If the expansion of the campaign gets added for free once Dominion drops, then all is forgiven. If, however, that expansion is a paid DLC, we were robbed. Number 5, no individually placeable trees. Right away, that's a negative point for Jurassic World Evolution 2. I will never stop talking about this. Actually, no, there is a very simple way to get me to stop talking about this. add the individually placeable trees. We had them in the first game, not from the start, but we had them, and not a day goes by when I don't miss them in the sequel. That is all. Number 6. All fences in Jurassic World Evolution 2 are the same height. I don't like that. I like that in the first game certain fences were much lower than others. It added to the variety and the way in your head you could play with the functionality of the fences. It was better in the first game. Number 7, my most controversial point, and a point that initially completely wholly made it onto the list of ways in which I thought the sequel would be better. Number 7 is the skin system. In theory, it is miles ahead of the skin system we had in the first game. In practice, I find it less enjoyable. A very simple fix would be to give us accurate previews. That would shush me instantly. As it is, the previews are next to useless, and that makes the abundance of choice just a meaningless game of chance. In the first game, it was doable to pretty easily memorize what each skin for each dinosaur looked like, and that made it easy to use. That is gone. Is what we got in return really that much better? The skin design quality did not improve, as is evident in the fact that for every returning species from the first game, the pattern is the exact same. More is not always better, and due to the piss-poor previews, more isn't better in this case, in my opinion. They threw a lot of quantity at us without really improving the quality. I will say that I greatly enjoyed the skin randomization, but you can also just end up with an ugly batch of dinosaurs, so it's a give and take when it comes to designing and populating your ideal park. Number 8, the process of dealing with sick and wounded dinosaurs is worse in the sequel. I get super annoyed when I see two dinosaurs about to butt head, because I know I'm the one who's going to end up with a headache. They've turned a one-step process from Jurassic World Evolution 1, go medicate the dinosaur, into sometimes a 5-step process. Diagnose with the MVU, tranquilize, move to the medical center, assign scientist, transport it back to the enclosure. Sometimes it's even a 6-step process when you send an MVU to diagnose, and they do, but then they leave and you forget about it because there's something else that requires your attention in the park, and the medical scan expires. So you have to assign the MVU a second time and really watch them do their job and stay on top of it so you know what's going on with that dinosaur and what the next action is going to be. It's incredibly time consuming and really started to grind my gears as I was just trying to unlock my dinosaurs for Sandbox. Number 9, another quick one before we get to the big hitter. Like I said, this list isn't in any sort of order, but the number 10 is definitely the biggest thing, in which I think they fumbled the ball in comparison to the original. But first, number 9, Jurassic Park era doesn't come with different path colors. Of course, paths had to make it onto this list somewhere. I was and still am at heart the crazy path lady. We finally have mixed eras officially in the game, that is, if you are lucky enough to be playing on PC or new gen console, but that doesn't come with extra path colors, and I think that's a huge shame. I still miss those extra path colors. I miss sometimes being able to go to another park and build paths in completely different colors, because it immediately gives the entire park a totally different look and feel. In my opinion, it's a shame and inexplicable that they didn't bring the other path colors back. The first game, when it comes to path colors, did it better. The 10th point on the list, and as said, my biggest grievance with the sequel, genuinely, there were long stretches of gameplay time where I thought to myself, I had more fun with the first game. I had so much more fun with the first game. And that's not what you want from a game sequel. But number 10 is the way you unlock dinosaurs. In my opinion, in Jurassic World Evolution 2, it's pretty close to awful. It's frustrating. It made me have to take breaks. In Jurassic World Evolution 1, unlocking dinosaurs for Sandbox proceeded through a linear campaign. Get 4 stars on an island, unlock everything for that island in Sandbox. As you were working towards those 4 stars, the campaign missions kept you preoccupied and motivated. There were like little nuggets like, good job on you, well done. In Jurassic World Evolution 2, it's 2 things. A grind and a mess. A mess because it's all over the place. People don't know where to get stuff. I still get comments from people asking, where do I get this dinosaur? Where do I get that dinosaur? I played all the Chaos Theory modes, but I barely have anything in Sandbox. What's going on here? But what's worse, in my opinion, is what a long grind it is. I finished the campaign of the first game for the first time in 20 hours. With then everything unlocked for Sandbox, my one true love. I currently have almost 100 hours in Jurassic World Evolution 2, and I'm still missing one dinosaur. And I can't even be bothered right now. It's whatever. When I was 40 hours into the game, I still missed a lot of dinosaurs, and it was really demotivating and disheartening. For a park builder that has all of its content for Sandbox hidden behind these unlocks, that's very frustrating. I mean, I get that they want people to play through the story modes. That's the motivation behind locking stuff for Sandbox behind these achievements in the other modes. But at least make it a little bit more doable and a little bit more fun. You don't need to do one challenge mode, you need to do several. And not by simply completing the challenge mode, as in 5-starring the park, which is relatively easy, but by literally manually unlocking every single thing, going through every research branch from start to finish. You complete the challenge mode objectives long before you've unlocked everything there is on that map, and it becomes a dull affair to make your way through all of the research branches. To unlock any dinosaur for Sandbox, what you have to do in challenge mode is unlock the species for research, then research, go digging, and we only have one team, so you have to go digging several times, then you extract, then you synthesize, then you incubate, and then finally, you have to release the dinosaur. Only once it physically appears in your park do you unlock it for Sandbox. That is a huge financial strain on any given park, and most parks don't have the space to house all of those dinosaurs that it's forcing you to create anyway, because the maps are still kind of small. But anyway, so on top of just being incredibly time consuming, it feels like sometimes it just feels impossible and it feels wasteful. Like, okay, I'm gonna make a Giganotosaurus right now, but I don't have space for a Giganotosaurus in this park, so I'm literally doing all this work, creating it, just to sell it for pennies to the dollar. For the sake of everyone who is planning to buy this game in the future, I really hope that they update the game to make researching a species sufficient for unlocking it in Sandbox. It was easier in the first game, and for a Sandbox player like myself, an easy unlock is a better unlock. If you like challenge mode and you hate Sandbox, then obviously you're going to feel differently. But then you should make your own list. This one is mine. You can make your own list in a comment down below. If you did enjoy the video and or agree with my points, give the video a like, that helps me out a ton. And after I just spent all this time complaining, let me tell you, I do love this game. Loving something and acknowledging its shortcomings are not mutually exclusive. If you want to see me play this game and share my creativity with you to inspire you for your own park builds, then subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and until next time, enjoy the game. Seriously, it's good, trust me. Just not these things.